Hello everyone. Bit of an off the cuff video here today, but just want to look at using OK. And I actually talk about how I'm trying to remember it because you've got OK and you've got OK or. I've just asked ChatGPT to knock up this example. That's okay. We've got a function which returns F64 or a string. If there's an error, then it's going to return the string. And if it's OK, it's going to return F64. So that's fine. But when we use it, we might want to convert the result to sum or none. Let's copy this into Rust Playgrounds. Just paste it back in. So we've got divide numbers. So we're taking a 10 and a 2 or a 10 and a 0. So obviously result 1. Result 1, we want to give it sum 5 as the output. And 10 divided by 0, we obviously want that just to be none rather than error. This is the whole reason we're using it. We're trying to convert a result, which could be OK or error. We want to convert it into sum or none. So that's fairly straightforward, but how do you remember it? How do you remember it when you write some code and you think, oh, do I need OK or do I need OK or? So what I'm going to do, rather than remember both options, both OK and OK or, because then you've got to remember something which might actually make you think of the opposite one, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remember OK, because I'll know that OK or does the opposite. So the way I'm going to remember it, and I'll say this is called learning Rust. So it's about Rust, but it's also about learning. So I'm going to remember it as OK, and then result option. And I'm going to remember it like it's a mirror. And if you remember that, it's almost symmetrical. Excuse me. So you've got the OK on the outside, and you've got the OK on the outside there. So I'm going to remember that as OK, and I'm going to remember the arrow, and there's going to be the arrow there, isn't it? Which is going to take a result and return an option. So I'm just going to remember OK by a mirror, and then just imagine it's because I'll always remember that it's either a result to an option or an option to a result. I mean, if it was an option to a result, that's not symmetrical. So I'm just going to remember RO. So that's my memory trick. So if I'm writing some code and I want to convert a result to an option, I'll use OK, as seen here. So if we were doing it the other way around, then we'd be doing OK or. So OK or would be doing the opposite of what I'm remembering. So I'm remembering that OK goes result to option. So I'll remember that OK or I can deduce that OK or goes the other way around. So OK or goes from option to result. So it's kind of like my memory tip. I expect a lot of people just think, well, that's obvious, but sometimes you have to say these things out loud. So by memorizing half of something, you can usually work out or deduce the other half. So just remember half of something, and then you're only doing 50% of the work. And also it saves the confusion, because if you remember the first half correctly, you pretty much can't get the second half wrong. So that's a little memory tip. I don't know if it's a tip, but that's just explaining how I do it. So thanks for watching. I'll put this example in the description of the video. Please thumbs up, like, subscribe, and all those things that all the people say on YouTube. So if you like these little short, brief tips and just my little personal insight into things, let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to do some bigger projects. I'm still thinking I'll do something with Iced and Surreal. Iced plus SurrealDB, the actual SurrealDB, rather than the key value store. I've started working on that. So yeah, Iced, so front end for an end user maybe, or an administrator or something, just to use iced and read and write to database. I know a lot of people will also like Dioxys, but to be honest with you, my laptop probably can't cope with much more. So already with when you start adding iced and surreal, you get up to about 630 crates, and then it takes quite a while to compile. So until I get a faster laptop, I'll probably just stick there. I don't really want to get up beyond 600 crates because yeah, you cease being productive, and then you actually yeah, taking a lot of time and you're not progressing very quickly. So anyway, there we go. OK, RO. Just imagine that little OK, and then a mirror, and then I know it's not totally. I mean, obviously it would be KO if it was symmetrical, but R looks like a K, doesn't it? That I mean, that's the thing with a lot of these memory sort of tricks or techniques. As long as they work, they don't have to be accurate. It's a bit like the memory palace. And everybody's memory is different, so you're going to create your own kind of wacky prompts. You're going to think of like, your uncle on a moped, uh, eating ice cream or whatever. So there we go. Anyway, catch you soon.